Assalamu alaikum everybody, this is your Arabic teacher Sam and a very warm welcome to episode 27, I believe it is. Is it 27, Mohammed?
Yeah.
Episode 27 of the Arabic with Sam podcast. How are you guys doing today? In front of me, I am honoured and very blessed to be joined by our brother Mohammed. Very active brother, very active student in the comment section, everything. And firstly, I suppose actually I'll apologise if you can hear any music in the background. We are enjoying a Heavenly Desserts. They're not sponsors of the channel, so don't go there. Don't give them any of your business until they're sponsors of the channel. And so that's where we are at the moment. We're enjoying a lovely cup of coffee, and so we'll get into it.
Yeah.
We're probably only going to take 20 minutes, something like that, 20 minutes, 25 minutes. We'll have a little chat about Mohammed's experience on the programme, why he joined the programme, and what on earth he wants to get up to with his Arabic afterwards, maybe. So I'm going to put this. I'm going to put my recording device in between us. Those of you who are listening, actually, if Blue Yeti mics are out there, can you sponsor the podcast, please? Because we could do with a new microphone. I have actually written to Blue Yeti mics and said to them, give me a microphone for free and I'll use it in all my episodes, and they didn't respond to me. Believe it or not, they didn't respond to me. So we're going to pop this in the middle. We're going to keep an eye on the little spikes that we can see to make sure that it is recording our voices. And Assalamu alaikum, Mohammed.
Assalamu alaikum, Sam. I'm really happy and excited to meet with you and talk with you and talk about my own experiences and stuff. Yeah.
Good stuff. It's an absolute pleasure to have you here. Thank you for coming all the way down from up near Liverpool, where you're from, up near the north. I give the north a hard time whenever I talk about the north, which I shouldn't do because it is beautiful up there in the north of England. But so thank you for coming down to my hometown in Northampton to come and speak to me. I suppose we'll start with just a little bit about you, maybe, because I'm hoping that you're going to be one of the mentors on the new programme, because the new Arabic in 60 Steps programme has mentors, as we've obviously talked about, but just for the benefit of the audience, something new that I'm really excited about this year with running the new Arabic in 60 Steps programme is that we actually assign mentors to each of the new students. And so you have someone who checks in with you every week to make sure that you are right. And the main point of it is to keep students accountable, really. But that's the main point of it. So I'd like first and foremost to introduce yourself. Talk a little bit about kind of how we've ended up here, how we became friends, and why we know each other, and how the programme's gone and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Hopefully. Sound good?
Yeah, that's great. I mean, my name is Mohammed Wilkinson, and well, basically, I am someone who used to live in Saudi Arabia, and my father's a convert to Islam, and he married my mother, who's Egyptian, and we lived in Saudi Arabia, and then when I was 15, we came to the UK, and when I was in Saudi Arabia, I did pick up some Arabic. I picked up how to read and write Arabic, but I didn't really speak it very much, and I kind of lost a lot of interest in the Arabic. And the strange thing was, when I went to school, right, I was kind of seen as a kind of exotic foreigner kind of thing, because they would know that I know how to read and write Arabic. They were like, oh, can you write our names in Arabic? I was like, yeah, sure, right. And so that kind of slowly but surely kind of it rekindled my love for Arabic and my desire to get fluent at it. Right?
So what kind of stage in your life did you make a decision to take learning Arabic a bit more seriously?
I would say it was sometime after university well, you see, because I gone to university and I did a master's in biological sciences there in the University of Liverpool, and then I went into teaching or teacher training for maths, but it just didn't connect with me because I was doing a lot of reading of just the Sirat of the Prophet, the stories of the Muslims and stuff like that, and Islamic literature and the Quran in general, and that's where my interest was, and that's when I realized that really that's the environment I want to be in. I want to be in that environment. I want to be able to access that environment. Nice. I decided I also want to teach Arabic, but the thing is, I don't know any Arabic.
That is a problem, yeah.
Other than how to read and write it, and then that's when I saw your video, Sam, on Arabic with Sam. I started looking up because I started doing some self-studying. So I got myself Arabic through the Quran. I got myself some Arabic dictionaries, and then I started watching your videos and trying to learn Arabic for free through YouTube. and I saw your videos, and I was like, oh, this is an interesting person, you know. You know, I think I saw your first video where you talked about, you know, you're coming into Islam and studying Arabic in university, and I know I was kind of hooked on yourself as a person, on your life, and
That's cool.
You know.
So like. So did you kind of encounter other resources and stuff? Like when you kind of decide that you want to take learning Arabic a bit more seriously, is kind of turning to YouTube the first thing that you did?
Well, so there was that, and then I found, because I didn't want to really spend money on it, so I found things like the Medina Arabic. There's they have their own website with like 80 lessons now and counting, but they don't put lessons up there that frequently. But yeah, and the idea in your mind when you find like a resource, like a book or the Medina Arabic, and you think, okay, every day I'm going to do a lesson or so, and then you fall off the wagon, as it were, right? But anyway, so it was always in my mind, and then at the same time, I had to do my own kind of personal life, find a job or and do other things, or other things happening in my life, and it kind of put the priority for learning Arabic kind of went down, you see.
So how do you, like, what I'd be interested to know is how do you go from sort of, because in my mind I kind of equate not wanting to spend money on learning Arabic to not really being that serious. Like in my mind that's what I kind of equate. So, so obviously currently you're a student on my program at the moment. So what kind of takes you from a place of not really wanting to spend money on a program to spending a bit of money on my program? What kind of takes you to that point?
Well, it's the results that you get. So, you know, I think you're correct in what you said, or your assumption. I think in my mind, Arabic was, if I were to put my priorities on a list, Arabic was number 5, number 6, number 7. It was very low, right, compared to other things I wanted to do, right? And it's only now when it's become number 1 on my list, or number 2, right? Kind of memorizing the Quran is kind of equating with that, but number 1, if you like, that's when I decided I have to dedicate time to it, I have to dedicate my life to it, I have to dedicate my money to it, you know? And it was really a shift in priority. And then that's when I feel I was able to part with my money and be able to commit myself with my money, with my time, and you know, and I've been consistent with that for the past month or so. Yeah. And
yeah, you know, that's cool. I mean, we've actually, for those of you who are listening, I suppose you won't appreciate that Mohammed and I have just spent probably 2 hours together, haven't we? Sort of just talking about everything, really. I kind of gave Mohammed a bit of a tour of my hometown, and we talked a little bit about kind of being in a position to kind of part with money to actually do a program and what sort of things you should be paying for. Because I was saying earlier that actually, like, you can access Arabic for free, right? Like, you can access people who speak Arabic for free. You can access resources for free online. You can, you know, even someone like myself who does encourage people to invest in their journey. Like even I have, you know, multiple things every week that people can watch for free and stuff, but the things that you're paying for are structure and accountability and support and stuff like that. And actually, the reason why I encourage it, not even just for my program, I think people should pay for other programs if those programs are right for them. And the reason for it is because, firstly, students should make an investment to it. Like, sometimes I've taught free programs in the past, and I have a free program now, and like the results of it, even though more people access it, fewer people complete it. Like I have this little program called Arabic in 6 Steps, which is free, and like, far fewer people complete it than complete my larger program that people pay for. And it's not because it's less accessible; it's because they haven't paid for it. Do you know what I mean? Like that's just sometimes a reality. And you know, sorry, just one last thing that I'd say about that is actually I think when you invest in some programs, they actually save you time and money in the long run. Right. You know what I mean? Like I think the solution that a lot of Arabic teachers offer when they offer a paid program is, like, the alternative to it. You might spend years of your life trying to find out the answers to things that a teacher can solve for you in a few minutes. Yeah. Like, people need to ask themselves, how much are those years worth to them? You know, like, so some people don't want to spend 3 years to get to a really basic level, whereas if they pass it with a little bit of money, number one, they can support the livelihood of an Arabic teacher in their community or whatever, and then they can actually achieve what they wanted to much quicker. Yeah. You know, that's just kind of part of my thinking. And,
yeah, I mean, you know, what I want to go back a little bit, like when I was following your YouTube channel and you were doing that February giveaway. Oh yeah. You know, and for me that was honestly like, I have achieved things, but achieving that, you know, getting that 501 verbs, that felt very special to me. You know, even though it's not like a big thing. It's not everyone. I don't care about that. For me, it felt like a big achievement because, you know, I followed your videos. I put together an email, and for some reason, you felt that was the best email, and that made me feel, well, maybe I have a bit more to myself than I think. You know, like it helped with my confidence and stuff. And then other things came into play in my own life, and then that's why I kind of dropped the whole thing. So I kept subscribed to your channel, but I kind of dropped. As I say, the priority of learning Arabic kind of dropped because I thought I needed to do something else, right? And it's only now that I really, really, really want to get into it. I really want to learn it. I really want to teach it. I want to learn it for myself, and I want to teach it to be a source of livelihood for myself as well. And that's when I saw your video, because I saw your video. It was 20 minutes. And I like when you started it. You started like, oh, please, you know, just give me your time. You know, 20 minutes. I was like, Sam, I'm gonna give you my time. Don't worry, don't worry, Sam. You know, I've made the commitment. I'm gonna watch this 20 minutes, right? Anyway, and there were things in there that you said. I don't know why, but it really resonated with me. You were saying your goal is for student retention, and the thing is, when you were saying that, you see, I've done things and then quit them. You see, so I was that person who did things, started things. For example, there's a Japanese guy who has a website similar to what you had, your Foundations of Arabic. You pay £50 for the year, and then you have access to all his materials. And my idea was, okay, I'm gonna pay £50 and learn Japanese. I learned very little, because I didn't commit my time to. And there's many examples where I've started things and quit. And so when you said in your video your goal was to retain students, and then you went on to explain how you're going to do it. You're going to have mentors, you're going to have the financial incentive, it's an upgraded version of a previous one and all this stuff. So I just realized, you know, Sam might have made a program that I can actually go from step 1 all the way to step 60. And that alone would be an achievement, you know. You know, yeah, subhanallah. Like I think like taking that step to kind of make my program so focused around retention is a bit of a risk on my end. In that, like, the reason why I've done it is because, like, I've probably had 300 students go through my program now. And when I've just observed the way they behave, and just generally, like, students just who I've met and stuff, and who I've even studied with myself, and even my own efforts to kind of self-study Arabic, like, I find, like, and I've said for a really long time, this little kind of expression I've kind of coined is that the best Arabic program is the one you're actually going to finish. Like, no matter how good a program is, no matter how cool it's, and no matter how, like, nicely the book's designed, no matter how many degrees the teacher has, if you're not finishing it, there's no point, really. Like, really, it's all in vain if you're not going to finish it. Yeah. But, like, so that's right. Like, in my head, like, I decided to build a curriculum that is built for students to finish it, and put systems in place, like you said, to get students to finish it. But, like, from, like, a marketing standpoint, or for me to try to reach out to more students, it's a real risk for me, because, like, there are some things that students want. Like, if I marketed a program and I was like, learn Arabic in 14 days, that's what people want. Do you know what I mean? That's what people want. That's in line with what they feel like they want. Yeah. But people don't want to be retained. Do you know what I mean? Like if I say to people, oh, this is a great program, we will retain you. No. Do you know what I mean? But so, it makes sense, because I think the more sensible people will understand that language acquisition takes time. And so, although I'm in step 40 now, and I've done that in the space of 3 weeks, I'm going to revisit those things that I've gone over, right? But anyway, the point is, language acquisition takes time. You don't learn your language in a month. You learn your language over 6 months or a year, and that's why retention is important, because you want to inculcate a new habit of studying Arabic every day, which is what I felt your program would do for me. It would be something I can build a habit around, of studying Arabic every day, and that would be the first step. Cool. your 60 steps would be the first step.
Yeah. Sometimes I do that. Like it seems like I'm doing it on purpose, but I'm not. Sometimes I throw in expressions like you just need to learn one step at a time and stuff. It is obviously leading back to my program, Arabic in 60 Steps, isn't it? But I promise it's not always deliberate plugs for my own program. But I suppose I kind of. At this stage, I suppose we've been talking for, 15 minutes or whatever. I'd like us to kind of talk a bit about how you're finding the program generally, because most of these episodes of the podcast, I'll just kind of pick a topic that I think the students will benefit from, and I just give as much as I can. But I think having yourself here is a good opportunity for us to just delve into the nitty-gritty of what is actually inside the program, because I don't often talk about that. There often isn't kind of the format and the time and the student in front of me to testify to that this stuff is in the program. So I suppose we'll start off with quite a broad question of just what is your experience like with it? We'll start with something quite broad like that, and then we'll get into the specifics of what steps are particularly useful or whatever for you. But so just how has your experience been with the program generally? How long have you been on it for, and have you found it to be accessible, I suppose?
Right. I think I signed up for the program, I think if I remember correctly, either 27th or 28th of February. And so I've been more or less going through the program for the best part of 3 weeks. I'm on step 40 at the minute. And I gave myself a kind of quota of 2 steps a day. And there have been some days where I've done 3 and 4. There have been days where I've done 1 or 0, right? But, overall, I think on average, I've probably been doing 2 steps a day. And I would say, in the very beginning, I would say the first 20 or so steps, it was kind of addicting. It was kind of enjoyable, just being in that bubble of because you're in the beginning, right? Because I've been through that kind of first initial bit of grammar in other books and myself studying, so I was able to do 3 lessons in an hour. It got to a point very quickly where each lesson would take an hour of my time, but I enjoyed kind of just sitting down and doing that, just being do your video and then do the challenges and write all those notes down and all the vocabulary. It became fun to just kind of do that.
I would just mention for the other students out there that it's not common for students to join and be on step 40 within a month. Do you know what I mean? You're saying that you kind of joined on the 27th of February or whatever, and now we're 28th of March or something. Yeah. It's not common for that to be the case, but but very fast progress in the program can absolutely be done, right? I've deliberately done it so that the pace is self-directed, and so there are students out there who can finish it in a matter of months. With the new program, the program that's available now, I've written it to be completed in 6 months, really. That's kind of the idea. Right. That's why we have 6 months of mentorship, 60 steps, those first kind of initial 10 months, you've just made a bit of an investment, you're a bit more invested, you're quite enthusiastic for those first sort of 6 months. And that's, I envisage that students who are committed and enthusiastic could probably do 10 steps a month. I think students do, a couple a week, or every now and again do 3 a week or whatever. They can probably achieve that. Yeah. So I just wanted to mention that most students don't. It's most common for students to finish it in sort of 9-10 months or something like that, if students are real beginners in the beginning. Yeah. So so I wanted to ask you as well, how practical would you say it is? Obviously there is quite a grammar approach in my program, and I think sometimes, especially us kind of English speakers, our experience of grammar in school and stuff is usually pretty boring. I wanted to ask you, how practical have you found it? The sort of lessons that you have, have you noticed grammar and vocabulary that you've learned actually you'd be able to implement and understand on a daily basis at all?
So there's 2 things I want to say about that. Firstly, in terms of reading Arabic and stuff, reading the Quran and understanding that, you're building a vocabulary of virtually 1,000 words, and then you're teaching us the grammar to be able to understand how things are structured the way they are. So in that sense, it is practical. In terms of being able to, go out from studying your 60 steps and then going out to speak, no, speaking itself is a practice you need to practice. It's a skill you need to practice. So it's as I say, I visit the Syrian friend of mine, and I tried to speak Arabic with him, but because I haven't spoken Arabic, I don't practice speaking Arabic. It's very difficult to remember. Is it the present tense right here, and then this and that, and like this, or the present tense first person, like this? It's very difficult to understand, to recall it there. But it's very easy for me to be able to read the text and kind of like understand it, like especially with your translation challenges. It's very easy for me to look at the Arabic and go, I know what the English is. It's a little bit harder for me to go from the Arabic to the English, but when I sit down and I give myself 2 or 3 minutes, it's easy. But to just kind of come out with speaking, that's a lot harder, and that comes with practice. And yeah, what I want to say is that the grammar, because you give a lot of examples, right? And I think that's a big strength in the program, and the grammar as well. The grammar it helps you understand the structure of the thing, but what we also need is a lot of examples, a lot of exposure to vocabulary, more vocabulary and stuff like that. And there are other things you can do for that, which is accessing. So after the program, you want to get us to be independent, and that's when we have to start reading Arabic texts for our own and to be able to acquire more language, you see. But I do believe it will get me to that point where, you know, where I start to feel more confident, you know.
You know, there's 2 things that I kind of wanted to add, I suppose, to what you were saying. Like the first thing was about managing expectations for speaking. You know, because even just in our language, in English, when we talk about any language, if you say I'm studying Spanish, people say, oh, so do you speak it pretty well? Like we have in English, it's sort of synonymous, speaking and knowing. Yeah. They're kind of synonymous when we talk about language. Yeah. But you get people in Arabic who are, firstly, you get people who are fluent but can't speak. You get people who are fluent readers and writers, right, of Arabic but can't speak. Yeah. And like, so there is real difficulty with most of my students being, you know, like I particularly write my curriculum for people in USA, UK, and Canada, and like, to manage those expectations can be quite hard. Yeah. To say to students like look, we can absolutely equip you with the language and the skills to be able to speak, but speaking is not just a bit of knowledge that you learn. It's a skill that you practice. Right. Like you need to practice and refine the skill of implementing the things we'll teach you. Yeah. And that's not something we can force you to do. No. Do you know what I mean? Like that's something that people need to create an environment for themselves where they need to use it. And even if it's as simple as, you know, what I do a lot. Like I obviously don't live in an Arab country, and I don't have tons of Arab friends. Like, I really put into practice just speaking to myself in the car a lot and stuff. Like, just little things like that throughout your life where you're articulating yourself, using the vocab and the grammar that you learn in lessons. And I can't remember what the second thing that you mentioned was that I thought, oh yeah, about examples, actually, in the program. So, like, I'm a person who was really inspired to learn Arabic just because I think Arabic has a whole world of wisdom and texts and experiences that are all locked up in this Arabic language world, and we can only access them with Arabic. And I just like throughout the program, even from the very beginning, just to sprinkle some of those things in. Do you know what I mean? Like if even something very simple that we learn in the beginning, like basic phrases or basic sentences, like if I can take something just from a bit of Arabic poetry or whatever, right, and just bring it to my students in those early stages, like that's something that I think is unique and just really nice about my program.
I mean, the fact of the matter is, for each particular lesson, you know, I'm able to understand the Arabic that's in it. You know what I mean? So when I'm in step 40, I understand the Arabic sentences in challenge 3, for example, right? I understand what I'm reading, and they're not basic stuff. You know, some of them is you know, about Jupiter has a certain number of moons. That's not basic Arabic, you know. But it's nice to be able to go with it, and the meaning kind of sits in your brain. Oh yeah, you might not be able to say, you know, al-mashtari عنده or لدي مشتري سبع أقمار or whatever, or سبعون قمر because that was a numbers lesson. You know, it might not be easy to recollect that and speaking, but when you see it out in front of you, black and white, it's easy to understand. And then you can look at, if you're reading Quran, you can see how the Quran is translated, and that helps you even more, you see, like that. That's for me.
Good stuff. So I mean, you know, we won't take too much longer. I mean, I'd really just like to kind of talk to you a bit about your ambitions afterwards, I suppose, because obviously at the beginning of the program, a lot of the time students, they don't really know what they're going to end up with. Yeah. You know, like students are kind of I don't know if it's unconsciously unconscious or whatever whatever it is. There are those different levels of learning or whatever.
Kind of thing, yeah.
But like in the beginning, obviously students they're not advanced Arabic students. They don't really even know what that looks like yet.
Yeah.
So I just kind of wanted to ask you, like, obviously someone like yourself, you've been through 2/3 of the program now.
Yeah.
Like what do you kind of see yourself being able to access, and also career-wise? Obviously, I'm so happy to have you as someone who wants to be one of the mentors for my future students. So that's just an amazingly rewarding process for me to have seen. Have seen someone go from out there in the internet world of all of these different Arabic teachers and stuff, somehow come across my work, somehow trust me enough to invest in my program, and now get to a stage where you can now be teaching future students. Like that's pretty special to me. Like that's something pretty cool. So like, I wanted to ask you kind of firstly about what you see yourself being able to access in Arabic, like what we use your Arabic for, and then also in terms of Arabic teaching, what are your goals?
Right. So firstly, I had two goals, a kind of worldly and a kind of spiritual goal. The first goal was to understand the Quran just when I'm reading it, definitely. And I also have the goal of memorizing the Quran, and that alone, when I read the translation and read the Quran, that helps me understand the Arabic of the Quran, which has its own kind of eloquence, but. There was that side, just to be able to help me, give me that kind of foundation, and then I also do want to teach Arabic. I want to teach other people Arabic because the way I see it is, I feel the Quran is like one of the most important aspects of our lives, and when I lived without reading it or without interacting with it, my life was much emptier. But when you live with it, it's an important part of the day, and it makes the day fuller. The day feels as if you've accomplished something when you've interacted with the Quran that I don't feel when I've done other things. And so I want to teach Arabic to be able to help other people appreciate that and to upgrade themselves. Another thing I wanted to say was that I've always felt that my potential was to pick up other languages and to upgrade myself, and I felt that part of my ideal version of myself was someone who knew Arabic, and so I've always kind of put that down, but now I've realized that I should actually pursue that. So it's more because I want to realize the ideal version of myself. I also want to interact with the Quran at a deeper level, and I also want to teach other people as well. In terms of what I'm going to do afterwards, well, you see, I understand that because I'm going through the course quite quickly, there are things that I'm weak at or forgotten. I'm going to go over I've joined the upgraded course. I'm going to go through that as well. I'm going to study, now I have more commitment because I built up a habit of studying Arabic. I'm going to go through the Arabic, through the Quran book. I'm going to go through a new Arabic grammar book. And I'm also subscribed to a website called Link, where I can actually read Arabic content, and each word is basically, I can get the definition of each word, so I'm able to kind of work through material in a kind of systematic way. And so now I can even import content from physical books. I take a picture and then extract the words and goes on to Link, so I can actually interact with content through Link. And now my goal then is not just to read English novels, but to read Arabic novels and just to acquire more Arabic that way.
Can you just spell out the website Link for us, just in case any of my students benefit from it?
It's spelled lingq.com, right? It's really, really good. It's founded by a person called Steve Kaufman. He knows 18 languages. Now he's currently studying Arabic and Farsi. So, he's actually joining us in our Arabic learning journey. So, he's a very cool guy. And I think Link, the website, is also a very, very, very useful website to learn languages. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely cool. I haven't had the opportunity to go and look at it yet, but I definitely will do, inshallah. And I suppose just to finish off, interpret this question as you will, but whenever I have someone on the podcast, I really just want to get, I want to just know what your advice is for the Arabic students out there.
Yeah,
because,
I'd written some. I wanted to give other people some tips because I'd written some advices that I had, and I've said some of it already, but. So the first thing is to get the hands of a dictionary, right? I got this recently because first I got the Arabic Oxford Dictionary, and that's kind of cool because when you look up the root, it also then shows you, in subsequent words, the it shows you the other forms of that word, but the problem is because it's Arabic to English and English to Arabic, limited number of words, whereas the Hansfer is only Arabic to English, and within that paragraph of the root word, it also shows you, it says V, and then it tells you the meaning. So that's actually the form 5 of that word, and it tells you the meaning. So I would read the Hansfer dictionary with a table of the verb forms, so that, for example, if you come across the word alama, and then it says the form 3 of that is ta'allama, right? So it will say 3, and then you use that table of forms to be able to know what that is, what that looks like. I think that's the best way to read the Hansfer dictionary. That's the first one. Second point is you need to actually start reading more Arabic. So link, definitely read. You're not going to acquire a lot of Arabic just through grammar and stuff. You need to start reading and read a lot more. Read the Quran as well, because the Quran has a lot of grammar, a lot of words, and that's what's going to help you access things. Bigger vocabulary is what's going to help you understand things, right?
Anything else before we go?
Anything else before we go? Oh yeah, you definitely have to study the language every day. It can't be something you do 1 hour once a week. It has to be done, half an hour, 1 hour. It has to be something you do every day. You have to interact with the language every day. Yeah. And there are lots and lots of resources. There's the animal stories from the Quran series on YouTube. It's in Arabic Fusha, right?
Nice.
And honestly, the stories of the Prophet, but told through the perspectives of animals, right? It's very interesting. It talks about the camel of Saleh and the wolf from Yusuf. Like this. So that's interesting. That's definitely consume Arabic content through either videos or books.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Jazakallah khair for being here and for coming onto the podcast. I suppose just a few kind of final things that I'll kind of add to that is, first, I think those are some incredible and really good advices. Firstly, implementing consistency in your studies. Like it's consistency is a superpower of the children of Adam. Like if you really want to achieve something great, it requires an amount of consistency and over a serious amount of time as well. That's something. Even if it's not a lot, do you know what I mean? I think most people in their day can fit in 20 minutes to half an hour somewhere in their day. Do you know what? Like realistically, and like one of the main reasons behind this podcast and why it's kind of one of my aspirations to make it a daily podcast eventually is so that people can, whether they're in the gym or on a commute or whatever, they can listen to a lesson for 20 minutes every day. Do you know what I mean? That's kind of one of the main philosophies behind this podcast. And then what you mentioned about immersing yourself in content, because if I know from my podcast, most of my listeners are in the US. Big shout out to you guys in California, especially. California is my best state out there. Right. Big shout out to the guys in California. But so like if you're in those environments, you don't have the privilege of just overhearing Arabic when you're at the coffee shop. Do you know what I mean? You don't have that privilege. So like you need to supplement that with the ample resources that Allah has allowed us to access through the power of the internet. So I'd definitely say that. Another thing is something that we kind of overlook sometimes is, and this is an advice that we'll just kind of end on for the real beginners. Get really good at the Arabic script, please. Like a lot of the time, I'm serious, man. Like I've taught a lot of students who kind of rush through it. Do you know what I mean? And then I think it will help you so much in the long run if you've got like a really good grasp on the Arabic script, because, and it's not something like, obviously you and I were talking about it earlier, but it's not something that is hard to, like, you don't need immersion, do you know what I mean, to achieve knowledge of the Arabic script.
You concentrated time.
You need a pen and paper, and you need the knowledge, right?
Going back to that, I taught my friend, I spent a week with him, and even 2 years later, he can read the Quran very slowly, but he can read it. And I taught him how to read the Arabic by making him write out the letters and joining them up in words and stuff. Altogether, it took 20 hours, right? So that could be how long you need to put in, 20 hours over the span of a week. Yeah. Apparently, other people learn in an afternoon. You know. Yeah.
But I'd say, like, even if you are a student who it takes 20 hours, right? Like as you say, like I've known people learn it in a few hours. Do you know what I mean? Like that 20 hours to just get good at reading and writing the script, that will save you hours and hours off of the rest of your experience. Like I don't even mean you need to have like perfect like naskh handwriting. Like I'm not even talking about that. Like if you have some bad handwriting, no problem. Like that's not a problem. Like you might even notice, Mohammed, like in book 1 especially, I leave the gaps for writing particularly big, just for beginners who their writing is probably going to be a bit big and messy. Like, but like I've taught people in the past who slow down their process so much because to copy out some notes will take them an hour. Do you know what I mean? So like, and then that's another good advice as well for people doing the GCSE exam. For people doing the GCSE writing exam, writing speed will be the difference between you getting a 9 and an 8, or the difference between you getting an 8 and a 7. They do numbers, by the way, these days, Mohammed. Obviously, it's been a while since you and I were both at school, but but they do numbers now. Yeah, so like. Because I mean, because the quicker you can write, the more time you can have for planning, right? Like I think the writing exam used to be 55 minutes, and like I had students who could just write, they could just bang out like 100 words a minute, and they could just, and the whole exam is like 300 words, so they could just spend like the first 45 minutes planning if they want to, and then just bang it out in 5 minutes, the actual writing. So that would be my last advice. I think we should wrap it up because we've been here for just over half an hour. So for the final time. Jazakallah khair, Mohammed, for coming on the podcast. Really look forward to introducing you to some of the new students who you'll be mentoring, inshallah, in the coming year. And for the rest of you on the podcast, there's nothing else left to say to you guys, really. Just enjoy it. We've recently on the podcast reached 20,000 downloads, which is absolutely means the world to me. First and foremost, we thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for that, but it's through your hands that Allah has allowed us to achieve that at the Arabic with Sam content and stuff. So have a really nice day, guys. Have a really nice week, and catch you guys later. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Oh, the next podcast, good shout actually, Mohammed. What do you think it should be about? Have you got any good ideas? We'll put you on the spot now. You put me on the spot. I'll put you on the spot, mate. I have a couple lined up actually. I have a couple of planned. So one that I have planned actually is a little seminar on the different uses of the word mer, because there's about 10 in Arabic, and that's one. Another one is essential Arabic for Muslim entrepreneurs. Because there's just some really good words for kind of the words that you don't often hear, like words for entrepreneurship, words for marketing, words for different social media platforms and stuff. They're just kind of modern and interesting terms in Arabic. So maybe something like that. Now you put me on the spot, Mohammed.
Oh no. All right. I like both of those ideas. All
right, guys, we're gonna sign out.